Wake-up call. Here is Brad Sham from the Cowboys Radio Network.
Snap on third down. Back to throw. Good pickup block. McGovern into the end zone. It is caught by Schultz. Touchdown over McLeod. And that is saving the drive. Wow.
Cowboys would go on to win that game 28-20. Dallas is now 4-1 since quarterback Dak Prescott returned in Week 7, averaging an NFL best 33.8 points per game in that time. So, look, the offense seems to be working very well, and yet there's all this conversation from inside the Cowboys building about trying to go out and get Odell Beckham Jr. and add him as sort of a final piece to that offense. So, Rob Ninkovich, do the Cowboys need that?
No, I don't think the Cowboys need that. And listen, offensively, there's only so many possessions and there's only so many touches to go around. I get it. OBJ is a guy that you see as a polarizing figure who made a heck of a catch about 10 years ago. I get he was great last year in the Super Bowl, but he also hurt his knee, and it's the second time he hurt his knee, and that concerns me. Having two ACLs, because I know from experience having torn my ACL that when you come back, you don't feel that great. And to stick your foot in the ground and to do everything that you have to do as a receiver, I don't think the Cowboys are going to get the benefits out of it from signing him. What the public and the outside fan base is going to want to expect from a player like OBJ if they do sign him. So I don't think it's a great fit.
What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, the Cowboys absolutely need to sign Odell Beckham Jr. And guys, I get it. The Cowboys offense since Dak has stepped in has looked unbelievable. Over the last 4 games, you're talking about 22 scoring drives to only 10 punts. So for context, if those numbers are even, your offense is outstanding. But we're not talking about playing against the Chicago Bears or the Minnesota Vikings or the New York Giants or the Green Bay Packers. We're talking about playing against the elite of the elite in the NFC. And if you look at the Cowboys receivers, they've only got 2 touchdowns outside of CeeDee Lamb's receiving touchdowns this year. They need a guy to come in like Odell that can win against tight man coverage. We saw it ended up being a problem in their playoff game against the 49ers. Dak Prescott was 13 of 26 targeted receivers in that game with a 26 QBR. They need to go out and get another guy that has the potential to be a difference maker in one-on-one situations in the passing game. Odell fits the bill.
I guess that's the question, though, right? Potential. Yeah, Nico, what do you got?
No, I have a question for Canty. If you sign OBJ, how many touches should he have when he comes in? Like, if you sign him in December, how many touches, how many catches is he going to have through December?
I don't know how many catches that he's going to have in December, Nico, but the whole point is making sure he's ready for January because the Cowboys have title aspirations. I don't care about the regular season. What we're trying to do is position ourselves to make a run at winning the division, but then also to make sure we have the very best chance at being able to make a run in the playoffs. It looks like they're going to have to go the wild card route as things are right now. And guys, the last decade, there have only been 2 quarterbacks that have been able to do that. Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Dak Prescott are either one of those dudes, so you want to give your quarterback as much firepower as you can in order to help him accomplish the goal.
And we'll see what happens. Odell, obviously, significant impact for the Rams last year, but did suffer that significant knee injury in the Super Bowl. So the Cowboys have to figure some things out about how healthy he is. The Cowboys' penalty problems were a big story last year. So McCarthy, you heard, raised it there in the news conference. So I'm curious, like Canty, what did you think? What did you take away from this game for the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, they're going to have to play a lot better brand of ball, Graz, if they want to find themselves competing for a championship. If you look at it, they weren't all the way buttoned up. You had 13 penalties that led to 4 first downs for the New York Giants. You had 2+ territory turnovers, and you had a highly questionable coaching decision by Mike McCarthy early in the game. It's a nothing ball game. You decide to go for it on 4th and 2 from your own 40. You set up a point-blank scoring opportunity for the New York Giants. And had it not been for a Tyree Phillips ineligible player downfield, you're talking about that being a touchdown to Isaiah Hodgins rather than them settling for a field goal. So a lot of errant mistakes from the Dallas Cowboys. I know the box score looks good at the end of the game, but people got to keep in mind This was a 1-point ball game with the Dallas Cowboys on the wrong side of it until 2 minutes in the third quarter. They're going to have to play a lot better if they want to beat the likes of the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles.
And that's the point, right, Nico? I mean, we're not talking about like downgrading a win, but the Cowboys have big dreams here. They think they can win the Super Bowl. So when you watched them yesterday, what did you think?
Well, I think that those penalties will probably catch up to them in the playoffs. I mean, think back to Kansas City and Dee Ford. I know that's a sore subject for Kansas City fans, but they were literally one snap away from going to a Super Bowl, but there was a penalty there. And penalties will cost you playoff games. And if you look at last year, the Cowboys led the NFL in penalties. And this year, fast forward this year, they're second in penalties. So at the end of the day, you can win those games against poor teams, but when it comes down to a playoff game where it's one possession or two possessions that really decide the outcome of the game, they need to be a lot better. And I just don't think that you can flip a switch, take a magic pill, and the penalties go away. No, that's something that you have to consistently work on, and they consistently lead the NFL in penalties.
That has been an issue for a couple years. And look, they were -2 in turnovers yesterday, 2 interceptions by Dak. But he had a big second half. What'd you take away from it?
Well, it was impressive to win despite all those things, despite the penalties, despite the 2 early first half turnovers. The win was impressive for me for a couple reasons. Number one, the run game. Ezekiel Elliott, 92 rushing yards. That's his high on the season. You saw CeeDee Lamb making huge plays on the season, over 100 receiving yards. And then you saw that defense. Specifically, you saw Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons had another multi-sack game. There was this period of the season where he didn't look healthy. He was dealing with some injuries. He wasn't right. Well, now Micah Parsons is right. You have a healthy Micah Parsons along with guys like Dorrance Armstrong making plays on the inside. You will be able to wreak havoc against other teams that you play.
Yeah, Parsons and the defense a big part of the story this year for Dallas, maybe the biggest. But, you know, the quarterback is always a big part of the story. When we watch what Dak Prescott is doing right now, what do you think about his chances of taking this team as far as it wants to go?
Well, as far as it wants to go is obviously a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I still have my doubts. If I'm just being fully transparent, I still have my doubts. That first interception that I saw that he threw to the sideline that was undercut by a backup defensive back, there's doubts about that. CeeDee Lamb is playing better, but there's still doubts about their offense. Ezekiel Elliott had his highest rushing output, but still only 92 yards. I still have my doubts about about a Super Bowl when it comes to this team and their offense, right? Defensively, yes, I get it. One of the best. Number one in sacks, Micah Parsons, all the guys. But offensively, we're talking about not just making the playoffs, winning Super Bowls. I still have question marks.
How about you, Canty? What do you think about Dak and the offense and the way they look right now?
Well, they look great in the second half, Graz. I mean, Dak Prescott was 11 of 14, 2 touchdowns and a 149 passer rating. So that's exactly what you want. They were 4 or 5 on third downs, and they were 2 for 2 in the red zone, and they dominated time of possession in both quarters. That is a formula for success. Kellen Moore put together a masterclass when it came to the distribution of touches. 10 touches for both Zeke and Pollard in the second half. You had Dalton Schultz with 2 red zone touchdowns, and you had CeeDee Lamb get 5 catches, 4 of which went for Cowboys first down. So that's exactly what it should look like. The only problem is you got to put together consecutive good halves in order to win a playoff game. And I think that's the lens that we have to view this Dallas Cowboys team through. And so there's a lot of improvement that needs to be made between now and when the second season starts in order for me to buy into them being a true title contender.
Nico, is this a Super Bowl offense?
No, I don't think it's a Super Bowl offense. And the way that I see it is this team's fate relies on Dak. If Dak is average, so if Dak is middle of the road, they're not going to be a Super Bowl team. Dak has to be better than average. He has to be great. If Dak is great, the team will follow Dak in the production that he produces. That's why everyone's talking about OBJ and going to get another receiver, because I think people can watch this team and say they're one piece away from being a top-tier competing with those teams that we know they're offensively explosive, they can score in one possession. If you watch the Cowboys, they're slow and steady. The running game has to be there. They have to have balance, and then they take shots downfield. They're not just a Dak, throw the ball 50 times. They have to have balance. They have to have the running game with the